I'm really wanting to try a recipe today that I've never made before. It's an old Appalachian recipe though, so I want to share it with you. I don't have the exact ingredients, so I may be sorry that I didn't wait, but I think what I'm doing will be okay. It's just the type of cornmeal that I have is the difference. So let me tell you a little bit about it though. It's from a subscriber, Teresa. She sent it to me, and I won't read you everything that she said about it, but I'll just read you the part about the recipe, the most important part about the recipe. She also said some really nice things though about her mother, who's since passed away, and told me a little bit about her life, which was really, really nice. So she says, I know you're really busy, but I wanted to share a recipe that I've come to realize is unique to just a county or two in West Virginia, but has been around for decades. It's cornpone, but it's not the cornpone that Southerners call pone. Hope that makes sense. Well, of course, when I read cornpone, I immediately thought it was some kind of cornbread recipe, and it sort of is, but it's not either. It's really not. My mom made cornbread like you do. West Virginia cornpone is sweet, though, but tastes different than sweet cornbread. Mom made it for 50 plus years, and her mother-in-law made it for years before her. I have a cottage-based bread business and make all the usual sourdough, yeast breads, etc., and lots of cornpones, and I feel so close to Mom when I'm baking. That's really sweet, isn't it? When I make things like cornbread and biscuits and things, I feel close to not just Granny, but my grandmothers too. I would love for you to try it because I know you all love soups and beans, and this goes great with it, and quite frankly, most anything. Interestingly, we don't make it in an iron skillet like we do cornbread, but instead in loaf pans. I'll attach the recipe and insert it here. So it freezes great. I would make them for Mom, slice them, freeze it, and take out a piece each time she wanted some. When siblings come from out of state, this is what they want, or what they order. Well, and brown beans, and fried potatoes with onions, and coleslaw. Boy, that sounds good, don't it? I'm not going to make all that to go with mine, but that sounds really good. I do have my canned beans that me and Matt canned, so I could open some beans. I was going to make some potato soup for supper, so I was thinking I would eat it with that. Nana's cornpone. This is the recipe. You need 3 cups of white cornmeal. That's my only thing I don't have. I don't have any just plain white cornmeal. I like white cornmeal, but I buy self-rising. So this is only plain cornmeal I had, and it's not white. It actually come from another subscriber, Jacob and Wendy. They sent it to me, and it's some that they made. So it's like a kind of a bluish color, but it's just plain cornmeal. So I think that'll be good. So I've got 3 cups of that. You need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of white sugar, 3 cups of boiling water, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of soda, 1 tablespoon salt, 1 cup buttermilk, 3 large eggs. Using a mixer, there's my oven coming to heat. Using a mixer, incorporate the cornmeal, flour, and sugar, and then add the boiling water. Add baking powder, soda, and salt, and finally add the buttermilk and eggs. Batter will be very thin. Pour equal amounts in 2 greased loaf pans and bake at 450 degrees for 15 minutes. Reduce temperature to 385 degrees. Cover loaves with foil and bake 35 minutes. Of course, ovens vary, so it might be a little more, a little less, and enjoy. So, now she sent me a picture of what it looks like when she makes it. Really beautiful. Looked more like it was still in the loaf pan, so it looked just like fresh homemade bread. You know, it didn't make me think of cornbread at all. Now mine's not going to be that beautiful color that hers was in the picture because I've got the blue cornmeal. But if you watch all my videos, you already know that I worry more about things, how things taste, than how they look. So I think it'll be just fine. Although I forgot to get my eggs. So let me get my eggs out, and then I'll move over to the mixer and we'll see how it all comes together. I've got the cornmeal in. I'm going to add the flour and the sugar, kind of stir it up a little bit, and then I'm going to add the boiling water, but I got to wait for it to come to a boil, so it'll just take a minute. Okay. Okay, here's our 3 cups of boiling water. And we're going to add our salt, baking soda. I think that was baking powder. Maybe this is baking powder. I've got them mixed up now, but anyway, salt, baking soda, and baking powder. Next, we're going to add our buttermilk. I guess I'll add all of it and then add the eggs. I'm going to add the eggs. I'm just going to add them all. Okay, I'm going to put them in the oven for the first 15 minutes at 450, then turn it down and let them cook the rest of the way. The bread is smelling really good. I hope me changing the white cornmeal for the blue cornmeal that I had doesn't make a huge difference. I don't think that it should, but we'll see. It smells delicious though. So I was going to go ahead and make my potato soup that we're going to eat for supper. I have my favorite potato soup recipe. I've been making it for years. I did a video back in 2022. I'll link to that in the description below. But I'm not going to make that one because Katie couldn't eat it because it's got butter, it's got milk, it's got sour cream, it's got all the dairy that she's not supposed to have. So I just went on the internet and searched and found one. I searched dairy free to see what I found, and what I found is very, very simple, and I'm going to use it. Potato soup's one of those things, like I used to have a friend and she made potato soup. All she did was stew potatoes and put onion in it. And that was it, and it was good. And that was it, and eat it over cornbread, and it was really, really good. So it doesn't have to be elaborate to be good. And then potato soup's one of those things that there are so many different versions of it, so many different recipes. Everybody has their own favorite version. I used to work with a lady who would make big pots of it, and she put cream cheese in hers, and that was really, really good too. So I've had it all different ways, from that little simple one to the one I make, which is a little bit more in-depth, has lots of the butter and the cream and the sour cream. How could it not be good, right? So this one, let's see, The Whole Cook is the name of the website, The Whole Cook. But I need my 2.5 pounds of potatoes, whatever kind you want. You need 32 ounces of chicken stock, and I will link to this recipe in the description below so you could go see it. A half white or yellow onion. Now that I'm looking at that, it says sliced. I done diced mine up, and I used a whole onion instead of half. And then this is the strange part. 1 cup canned coconut milk, unsweetened. You can, if you read on down, she explains that you can also use other, like, non-dairy milk. So that's what I'm going to do. Katie's got some almond milk that she's been drinking, so I'm going to use a cup of it. Then garlic powder, salt, pepper, and thyme, or dried chives, whichever you wanted. And you could put, you know, bacon on top. You could drizzle some of that coconut milk if you use it. Oh, the sky's the limit, and the varieties are endless, like I said, when it comes to potato soup. So first, though, in my trash bowl, my compost bowl's about got full. That's mostly stuff that the chickens would not eat, so they won't eat the onions or the potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and put my onions in here. I think that's what it said, to cook it all together. Kind of like potato soup, so easy, I don't need a recipe, but then if I follow a recipe, I'm one of those personalities that I want to follow the recipe. If I went to find it, I'm not like Matt and Miss Cindy. I don't want to start changing it all. So there's my onions. And then I'm gonna chop up my potatoes real quick. Granny cans her soup base that she cans, she will can just tomatoes with a little bit of corn and a little bit of okra, and that's all she puts in it. And then when she's going to make her soup, the most often what soup she makes is just a vegetable soup, very, very simple. But she would start out, she would make potatoes and onions like I'm doing right here. She would cook them together, and then she adds that jar of soup to it, and maybe some salt and pepper, maybe a touch of sugar for the tomatoes, and then that's it. That's it. And when I was really young, she always put like a handful of macaroni elbows in it. And then somewhere along the way she quit doing that, and so she doesn't do that anymore. But it reminded me of the old Appalachian recipe, and a lot of times people ask me if we eat macaroni and tomatoes, and we really don't, although I know I would like it, but I just didn't grow up eating it, other than in Granny's soup like that when she made it. Before I met Matt, I was working at a local plant, Clifton Precision. It's not called that anymore now, on second shift, and I remember I took some of Granny's soup. I might have even made it, who knows. But anyway, I took that. I would always take something from home for my meal that I ate while I was working. And one of the older ladies there, she'd come by and seen me eating it, and it had the noodles in it. It had the macaroni, had it in it. She said, "Oh, what are you eating? Noodles and tomatoes?" She said, "I make that all the time for my kids." She was an older lady. And I thought, oh, I thought that was just something Granny did. But really, she might have been talking about the soup like that, but she was probably talking about that more traditional, just the noodles and the spaghetti, just the noodles and the tomatoes. Thinking about tomatoes, now I'm starting to think about spaghetti. This is quite a bit of potatoes, so I'm glad I did the whole onion. Okay, got those all in there. I'm gonna add, I quit drinking my chicken stock for breakfast like I had done for so many years, so I've got some extra. This is what I would drink. I've got extra, so I'm gonna use one of them. This is pretty good broth, pretty flavorful. I'm going to put it on the stove, let it come to a boil, and boil it just about, I don't know, 5 or 8, 10 minutes, something like that, till they're just fork tender. And then we'll see about adding that almond milk. It's so strange. I think they're done. Let's see. That one seemed a little bit more done than the first one. They smell really good. They're not as pretty as the ones the picture that she sent me. And one of them, now that I look at it, one of my pans is way bigger than the other one, so that little one probably is definitely done. I didn't even realize that. I wasn't thinking about it. They're kind of funny looking because of that purple hue. I can't wait to taste them though. You get me something to cut a piece on. Smell, because of the sweetness and the cornbread or the cornmeal, what it reminds me of is hush puppies. That's what I'm smelling. It's like hush puppies. Probably should let them cool some, but let me see. Really, really hot. Burning me hot. Really good. Different than cornbread because it's not as crumbly. They're not crumbly. It's more of a bread texture. Interesting. Now I do see how they would. I can immediately see why they would be so good with thinking about fried potatoes and soup beans. coleslaw. Very interesting. And very good. Very good. In my mind, I'm trying to think, is this something like, would I make this, or would I just make cornbread? Of course, I'm not going to quit making cornbread, but this is good. It is sweet, though. There's the whole argument about people that put sugar in their cornbread and people that don't. You hear all kinds of those, you know, people that say, well, they do because their mother did, and then other people say you should, you know, it's terrible, you shouldn't do it. I say you should do whatever you want. If you want sugar in it, you should put sugar in it. I don't put sugar in mine, though, but I do put sugar in hush puppies. So that's really what this tastes like. Matt, yeah. Would you like to taste, or are you too busy? He says he ain't never too busy to taste. I'll just let him eat a little bit of mine. And then I wonder, though, if the difference in the cornmeal, you know, if that makes a difference. I don't know, it looks funny. It's because I used blue cornmeal, but so this is Cornpone, an old recipe from West Virginia.
Okay.
It's different than cornbread. It's not crumbly. It's more like a bread, but it does have mostly it is cornmeal, and it has sugar.
Oh, that's good.
Does it remind you of hush puppies?
A little bit.
If it had onions in it, that's the sweetness of the hush puppies. I see we went real dark. I don't know what happened to the camera there. We got dark all of a sudden. Oh, Matt's going to have to put him some butter on it. I do think it will go very well with our potato soup. And, of course, it makes me want to go open a jar of our beans to eat with it. That would be good, too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
With the butter.
Not good.
Let me try a little piece of the butter.
That'll work, won't it?
The texture's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Cuts off another piece of that.
So the lady that sent it to me, the recipe, her mother made it for 50 plus years, and then before that, her mother-in-law made it. Her mother's mother-in-law. So it's a really old recipe. But she thinks, and she makes breads for a living, that's what she does, that it's kind of relegated to like 2 counties in West Virginia. It's where it's common. Now, some of you may make it too, and if you do, please tell us. I'm sure she'd love to know that too. Please share any kind of thoughts you have about it. I'm kind of tearing it there, sorry. There we go. It's hot. So it takes like plain cornmeal. That's why I didn't have any white, is what it calls for. So I used the blue that Wendy and Jacob sent us, which has great flavor. It's good. It just kind of looks funny. We're going dark again. I don't know what's happening to our camera. We go real dark and then we go back. Every time I look up, it's like we're in the dark, but we're not. So sorry about that. I apologize for the technical difficulties there.
Yeah, buddy. That's good.
She said in later years she would make it for her mother and then slice it and then freeze each slice and then just get it out. I was thinking that we might do that with that other one, but we may just eat it.
Yeah, it ain't gonna have time to freeze.
Matt's not been eating sugar, so that's probably one reason you think it's so good, is because it's sweet.
Probably go back in here and my eyes roll back in my head. Boy, it is good.
It is good. And it'll be really interesting to see if any of you've made it like this, cornpone like this.
I like that. You need to keep that going.
It's pretty easy to make, which of course cornbread is too, but it's just different because the texture's different. It's not got a texture like cornbread at all, does it?
No.
It's more like a bread.
Looks like varicose bread.
Yeah, because of the color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of got that blue tint, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't if you used white cornmeal though. It wouldn't.
Mighty good. Am I excused?
Yeah, you're excused.
Thank you.
I'll get back to the soup making and then we'll be ready to eat supper. We kind of already spoiled it, hadn't we, by eating this? I'm just gonna lay those right there because we'll use them again. Clean up my mess here a little bit, or our mess me and Matt made together. Back to our soup. Okay, first thing we're going to take a cup of potatoes out. Actually, I am being like Miss Cindy and Matt now, and I'm going to take a little bit more. I'm going to take 2 cups out. Now I need to get Katie's almond milk to put in it. A cup of this and hope for the best. Now it says to blend it, but instead of blending it, I think I'm going to see how this does. I don't know though, blending it might have a smoother consistency. I do have an immersion blender. That's probably what I should do, is just get it out and use it. Okay, I think that worked out good. That's pretty creamy. I'm going to add these back. Give me some salt and pepper. This is 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. I might have put a little bit more. But half a teaspoon of salt. And 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And then the optional was the chives. I don't have any chives, but I may go out and get a green onion just to eat it with, garnish it with, or each individual person if they want a green onion, or if they don't, I might do that. If I can taste it. It's pretty good. It's kind of bland though. Hey Matt,
Yeah.
you want to come doctor the potato soup?
Get my medical bag.
He said let him get his medical bag. This is not my, my recipe I usually make, which I really love. I'm doing this for Katie, so it's got the almond milk in it. And I was following a recipe, so I put garlic powder, salt and pepper, that's all. And the onion and potato and the almond milk and chicken stock.
That's probably all I would put in it.
You want to taste it and see? There's your spoon. Tasted kind of bland to me.
Give it probably more salt.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think it needs more salt?
I do.
Here's are you going to use that kind? Okay.
But it's awful good, just like it is.
You think so?
I
Good.
do.
Think it's going to go with the cornpone?
Mm-hmm.
I need to go out and get us some onion to go with it. What are you hunting? Pepper? It's behind there. I put a 1/2 teaspoon in.
I don't put much. Just a little. Don't fret. I'll learn to back off on the pepper with you.
You want some more garlic powder? Or? No.
Yeah, just a touch.
I should have let Katie taste it. See what she thought. Get you another spoon. See if that improved it. Improved the taste. about putting some onion powder in it.
That would probably help it.
How much? Before I drop the whole thing in.
Okay, stuff.
That's a loud cooker.
Sorry.
I definitely helped at all that. You still think it's missing something?
Yeah, but I don't know how much. I mean, it's good.
Calling it done?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I like it. I like it.
Pile of it just like it is.
You think some green onions might help it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go out and get some of our Egyptian walking onions, and then we'll eat supper.
Is it that time?
It just about is, ain't it? Oh,
Just ate lunch 30 minutes ago.
3:41. I thought it was like 4:41. Okay, well it means I'm ahead of things, so I've got extra time. That's always good, right?
Mm-hmm. You do.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me today as I made this recipe for the first time ever. It tastes really great. I can't wait to see if all of you are familiar with it or not, or maybe someone in your family used to make it. I want to try it again with the white cornmeal. I'll have to get me some of that and see if it makes any difference. I'm not sure it'd make any difference in the taste. The appearance will be different for sure. But I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope you'll leave a comment and let me know any information you have about it. I'm always glad when you stop by to help me celebrate Appalachia.